Hello, everybody. And by hello, I mean slow. What's slow? This traffic that we're in right now. Crossing Toronto in the morning. I knew on the way in I'd get morning traffic on the way in. And there was no avoiding it. I think that had I not stopped for some sleep, I would have been through here at 4 or 5 in the morning, or maybe about an hour earlier, and this probably would have been a little slow, but I probably would have gotten through better than I am now. I don't think it's going to be all that bad, but it's not expressway. You just have to be very patient while I look at, as far as I can see, traffic moving at a fucking crawl. And as long as you're patient and you don't get frustrated in traffic, then you're fine mentally. Like, I know that there were times in my life where this would have started setting me off, but I knew what to expect. This is no shock to me. And I know how to handle the drivers ahead that are driving with 2 feet that keep on slamming on the brakes. I'm the guy that keeps on smoothing out the traffic by allowing some compression space and not racing up with the driver ahead of me. And putting on my brakes predictably so people know when we're really coming to a stop behind me. Especially because in this van, people can't see around you, so it is kind of a hazard. So that being said, like, emotionally I'm fine, but here are the downsides. Not complaining, but being real with the downsides. This burns up my gas. And number 2, gas is way more expensive in Canada, which is one thing that they don't tell you. Well, it's not that they're not telling you, it's that they're just not really alluding to it when you are hyping, trying to get into this job. But it's one way to get you in, because people with experience on this job would probably skip away from this opportunity, go, well, I'm going to stick with a guy that's looking for a guy in the States because I know about Canada. And then there's a guy like me who's trying to get into this business who can use something like this as a way in, because being from New York, because New York has so many borders with Canada, New York has what's known as, and I think other border states have this too, what's known as an enhanced license, where you can get an upgraded license that allows you access across the borders without a passport and birth certificate, all the stuff that was mandated after 9/11. So, with that, since I had that, I was able to pitch myself for this job like, hey, I've got an enhanced license, so I'm one that can get across the border. I don't seem to mind any, because I don't know any of the ins and outs of crossing through Canada all the time, like spending extra money in gas, so you're not making as much money coming through here on loads. Because you're not making money in 2 ways. Number 1, your gas is being burnt up more, and it's basically at a certain miles an hour, you're making a certain amount of money, but as soon as that miles an hour is way slower, you're basically down to, in this traffic, I'm probably down to $8-9 an hour, but I'm moving a van at 4 miles an hour comfortably in traffic, so what's the big deal, right? It'll last about another 10 minutes, and then we'll be probably moving a little bit, so Google says, to the next slowdown, which is once again in the heart of Toronto, and then we'll be past Toronto. What's amazing to me is just how freaking, and I mean freaking effing huge Toronto is. I used to come here as a child because my parents would take us on trips here, and that was the late 1970s, early 1980s, and Toronto was a pretty big city then, of course, but not to the expanse that it is today. It has grown amazing in 20 years. This city stretches along Lake Ontario it's just insane how big the city is, especially compared to a little dwarf city like I'm from in Rochester, New York, which is like a village that grew into a city, or a city that had stunted growth and never grew anywhere else. Rochester is if you drive past Rochester on the 490 expressway, you'll look at the city, and in 5 minutes the city is gone. You're past it and you're on your way to the suburbs and then back to the thruway, and you're past the place. It's tiny comparatively, but that's great. It was a lot like Davenport, where I just was. I noticed a very similar thing. I could get anywhere in that city within about 15 minutes. So that's a neat little thing about tiny cities. They're big enough to have all the amenities, but small enough to be able to get around really quick. And a lot of people don't realize the value of tiny cities like that. And they want to move into these big expanses where there's just more and more people on top of each other. Like, I would never, ever want to live here. Never. There was a time when I thought Toronto was like an awesome place, and I still think the city is awesome, but only to visit. I would never, ever, ever live in a place like this. Too much bullshit. This traffic, like, what the heck? Now, consider this. Rochester gets this kind of traffic every morning. If you're going into the city, you'll always get this from every direction, but it doesn't last this long. It's not to this length. And it's gone after a couple hours. So anyways, earlier this morning, first of all, what caused me to be here at this time, I kind of knew that no matter what, I'd be here at this time. That's why I'm so prepared for this slow-moving traffic. And we've caught up to the FedEx truck, which has been my marker in the lane to my right. I'm all the way in the left lane thinking I would go faster. The lane to my right, it seemed to be moving a little faster, but now we're catching up to it, so it's probably a game of tag. So anyways, some things that contributed to me being here was early this morning, I had to stop a couple times because I got too drowsy to drive, and it's just plain dangerous to drive when to try to press. Safety's number one, no matter what, in a transportation job. Safety's got to be number one. Yeah, it's expediting, but that's got to be number two to safety. You got to get the load there, but if you're not there safely, it ain't getting there at all. So, better late than never, I guess, is the old adage, right? So, when I felt drowsy, the first time was in Detroit, just before the border. I didn't have my paperwork anyways, so I took a nap at a Pilot. That turned out to be about, I think, a 2 to 2.5 hour nap. But I had about 5 hours to play with on this trip, including fuel slowdowns, fuel stops, and this traffic. Although I can see the time ticking away, the moments that make up a dull day. Ha ha ha. I can see the time, the Google Map time, slowing down. It wanted to take me down the 407, which is a no-no. The company's like, yeah, don't go down the 407. It's apparently very expensive. It'll get you right through, of course. That's why they built it, but you pay for that. And the choice is sit in this traffic. They know no one wants to sit in there, so they can charge you some exorbitant amount to go down the 407 toll road, brand new through Toronto Expressway. So that being said, we skipped out, and it was leading us there. I'm a little off subject here, but I'll continue what I was saying on this little tangent. Earlier, well, let me start from the beginning. Back to where I was sleeping at the Pilot. So I lost about 2 hours sleeping at the Pilot. But that was no big deal. We still didn't have our paperwork. We got to the border, and I'm right at the bridge to Canada, and I still don't have my paperwork. I need special border crossing paperwork that gets emailed to me, and from my phone. I printed out on my wireless printer inside the van here, and I got paperwork. Pretty neat, huh? Well, I got to the border. I didn't have the paperwork, so I pulled in, and I think I was sitting there for about 15 minutes. I just gotten out of the Pilot, cranked up the coffee again, so I'm kind of wired for the drive, and then I'm going back to sleep again because I had my legs up, my seat back, my pillow up, kind of not really sleeping because I was wired with coffee, but sort of sleeping. And then an email, the phone rings, hey Mark, your paperwork is actually there. Oh my gosh, okay, so it's like stop, go, stop, go, stop, go. So now I'm on the way, and I start heading, I get across the bridge, really easy. It was about 2 in the morning, there was no wait. I got right to an open booth, that was really cool. Guy at the border, super cool, got me in and out, quick, and I was on my way through Canada, starting down the 401. Boring drive through there. The good news is there was less, it seems like they completed some of the construction, and there was less construction zones, and there wasn't much traffic, so we zoomed right through at about 120 kilometers, which is way over the speed limit, but most traffic was moving at 120 down there, and I had some time where I was just alone on the road, really nice. But after about London, Ontario, I was going down for the count. It got to the point where I was begging for some kind of roadside arrest area. I mean, I was just nodding off, struggling to stay awake, and that's not where you want to be driving. So my body was giving me clear signs to just like, hey, you need to get off the road. So finally, 15 kilometers up, felt like forever, 5 kilometers up. Then there was one of these en route, is what they're called in Ontario, rest areas. Pulled in. There was another van from my company there already sleeping. Pulled a couple spaces up from him and also hopped in my back bunk there and laid down for some sleep. It was kind of weird because when I laid down, I didn't just automatically doze off. I didn't feel awake, but I wasn't like just drifting right off like I thought I would be. But then eventually some hours went by, so I must have drifted off a little bit. I didn't have enough energy to get under the covers, so I I ended up getting chilly, which was good because that kind of woke me up around 7 a.m. I also had to pee by then, so I'm thinking, you know what? I was thinking, oh man, just curl over, just get a little bit more. I said, no man, you got to get this load done, and it's time to go. Your body's telling you, you better get your ass up and go. You had 3 hours of sleep, that should be good enough. Daylight's coming, you'll be fine. You'll get your second wind and you'll be rolling. And now, I also knew that you're going to be fucked in Toronto morning traffic, though. You basically fucked up. You couldn't, I was thinking maybe what I could have done is got out of the van, but I think this would have been too dangerous. But here's an option I could have had. Got out of the van, done about 20 jumping jacks, ran inside the place, got my pee done. Sorry for the poor descriptor there. The grossness. Got a coffee from Tim Hortons and got on my way again. Loaded up with coffee, but pressing your body like that, that's not part of healthy expediting, is it? So I felt much better with a nice 2-hour rest. I do feel really refreshed and really ready for traffic. I'm emotionally rested, which is helpful as well. Because when I'm not emotionally rested, when I get crabby, man, I'm a completely different person, and I have a very new sense of self-awareness with my behavior because it's gotten me into too much trouble in the past. So it's like I know better now. So I am feeling better that I took a little nap. Like right now, I'm leaving about a 1-car space, and each cars have to keep filling that up because they think that maybe my lane is going faster. And now what I'm getting is every time one of these cars move in, I get people driving with 2 feet and they're slamming on the brakes in front of me. And I have to keep rubber banding because of them. All when their line was moving just as fast as mine, but whatever. So now I'll leave another little space and some other silly will try to pop in there, but whatever. And we're moving a little faster where we are. However, I still see nothing but traffic all the way ahead. Even the other direction's moving slow. Welcome to Toronto, baby. Welcome to cities that are too big for their own good. Yep, here comes the next guy. Trying to sneak in the fucking space I'm leaving. So now you can see why people are tailgating and jamming on their brakes, because they're trying not to allow that space inside. Now the guy in front of me's got one taillight. One fucking taillight. No third brake light. No right side taillight. Just a taillight on the left. So it's harder to even see when they're braking. Oh, they got a third brake light. And they're a two-footed brake slammer. But I'm watching 2 cars ahead of them, so I don't have to fucking follow what they do. But it really sucks when total idiots get in front of you. Well, let me tell you a story about a total 2-footed idiot. I got a good one for you while I got you here. Earlier, I remember I was going to get to this part of the story. Why has this guy got his right-hand signal on? Left-hand signal on. That's weird. Oh, he's getting into the... Was that an HOV lane? I don't think I can get into that lane. What is this? I think it's getting me to an express something here, so whatever the hell. Traffic just took off. Pretty awesome. I don't know what the hell this is, but we're going to do it. Yeah, I think this is the one that doesn't have any exits, so... Yeah, the 401 splits, so on the right side you get the part where everyone might be getting on and off, and this doesn't have the exit, so it has the potential to flow and not constantly slow down. Okay, so finally moving. The maps came through and said, hey, take this new way. If we go through Guelph or wherever the hell we went through, take these back roads, you can get through faster than... I was just looking at the other lane there. Boy, some people are really hauling ass on the other one, but I think that's going to slow down more than this one. I should probably get in the left lane, but whatever. I'm fine at 55 miles an hour or 84 kilometers. What we're doing, 85 now. So, I was taking these back roads that Google Maps was guiding me through, said this will be faster. Okay, so we tried it. Followed a line of traffic. I had a minivan in front of me, and it seems like you gotta watch these minivans, because this is the second minivan I've had where it was a 2-footed driver. I'd just say someone who was driving bad, who always slammed on the brakes and tailgated, but I know what it is. It's 2-footed driving, and I know that because I was a driving instructor for a lot of years, and I know what causes a car to operate like that, and I knew that there were some people that have the proclivity or think it's somehow acceptable to drive with 2 feet and don't know the reason why you don't do that. So anyways, in that regard, right behind this Toyota, I want to get to the left lane here. Oh, he's slowing down, so see you later, brother. Too slow. Okay, so this guy's in front of me, and I followed him and just kept the distance. Didn't get annoyed with him or anything because I knew better. And smoothed out the traffic that he was trying to rough up. And at one point we got to this intersection after following him miles and miles and miles and keeping him in check, not allowing him to slam on the brakes in front of me and cause me to slam on the brakes for cars behind me. We got to this intersection where there was a right-hand turn, and we were just sitting waiting for the light, and I pulled up behind him. And eventually he got impatient, and there was kind of like this curve-in lane to his right, basically cutting through a used car lot is what it looked like. And it looked like he thought eventually, like, fuck it, mate, let's get through here. So he put on his right-hand signal, which he was going to make a right-hand turn. He was late on his signal. It was just a poor driver all around. He goes and cuts through the thing, but doesn't realize that as he got to the exit part, they had parked 2 cars just a little too close. I almost think he could have made it, but he got to the point where he thought he couldn't make it, so he had to back up. And by then, of course, our light was green, so everyone was going, and he got stuck having to wait, get back into traffic where that was just a great reward. That was just great. I enjoyed that. So anyways, I gotta let you guys go. We're moving through now, but rain is picking up here. Oh, this 18-wheeler wants to go through. I'll give him a flash. You can go, brother. Blocking the sign that I need to read. 401, 427 there. I don't think we want the 427. And I got to read Google Maps just to make sure it's not telling me to do something different. So, yeah, 401 east, 4.3 miles, stay on the 401. And 335. So we really only lost 15 minutes on that slowdown. Not too bad. It seems like more than it is. So that's it. Total rainy here. Got to leave some extra braking distance. Another 18-wheeler wants to get the hell in the lane. People in the left lane just kind of sleeping. Come on, brother. Get moving past. Oh, eating his jelly donut. This guy's letting me through. Thanks, brother. You rock. I wish I had that little thing that 18-wheelers have where they can do the trailer lights. Give the guy a thank you behind me. So anyways, that's my story. Sticking to it. We're making our way through Toronto. Not making as much because gas is more expensive in Canada, but at least we got a good run out of Davenport. We sat in Davenport for 4 days, as I said in my last video, and we got a run to Quebec, which is kind of cool because I've never been there before, and it's a good 900 miles to start the week with. So if we get any more runs, if I can do 2 more 1,000-mile runs or 900, 800-mile runs, I'll at least run my numbers up for the week and have a pretty good paycheck. All right. Have a great day, everybody.